So it's been a month since we set up the 240 litre Eheim Viva line behind me here. So a few things have changed since the last video. So I've added some more rocks just to the middle section and to this section here, just to give the catfish that are in here a little bit more cover. And I've also added these two pieces of wood. Now this is just wood that I had in stock. I didn't go out and buy anything special. Now the reason I did that is because as well as the Cynodontis catfish which I added to this tank, there's also a green phantom pleco in here, which is just going to help keep the algae down when it starts to build up. I can't see the green phantom at the moment, but this wood is mainly for him or her, just so they've got something to chew on really. And I just think it gives the tank something a little bit extra. On top of that, we've also added a wave maker. The wave maker was kindly sent to me by Mr. G, one of my subscribers. So thank you very much, Mr. G, for that. It's a Cichlid Voyager 200. It's going to provide good surface agitation and just make sure that there's enough flow in there. And also when the cichlids are in here, it's just going to help disperse any aggression because they'll be busy fighting against the flow and the current of the tank as well. So the purpose of today's video is that we're actually ready to go and get the cichlids for this tank. So I'm looking to get around 10. I'm going to get them at a reasonable size so we can grow them out in this tank. But just need to do a couple of things before we go and get those. So we could do with testing this water. Now I have tested it a few times and everything's looking good. We did have a nitrite spike which lasted for about 2 weeks, which is a bit of a pain. But when I last tested it, that had all gone. So I'm confident that this tank is cycled. But also we need to do a 50% water change because this tank hasn't had one yet. Okay, so as you can see by these readings, we have a cycled tank. So from left to right, we've got ammonia, nitrite and nitrate. So if we put that there like that, so we've got 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite and around 20 parts per million of nitrate. So we'll do a big water change on this anyway, and then we'll go and get our fish. Okay, so we're going to do a 50% water change. So to do this, I've got a water pump. Now, a couple of videos ago, I reviewed an AQQA water pump. The idea being that with a tank this size, I could pump the water out, pump it back in fairly quickly. Unfortunately, that pump is a little bit undersized. Still a good pump, but it's a little undersized. So anyway, I contacted Hygger and asked them to send me something, and they sent me a Hygger water change pump. So this is the this is a 666 gallons per hour, 2,500 litres per hour. This is the HG919-2500. Now if we look at the back, they do 4 versions of this. They do an 18 watt, a 40 watt, a 60 watt and a 90 watt. So this is the 60 watt. So it's almost the most powerful one that they do. And I'm hoping this is going to help us get that water out and get it back in really quickly. So we're going to be putting that to the test in today's video as well. But shout out to Hygger for sponsoring this video with this new water pump. So here's the pump. So it's quite a chunky unit. It's got a nice handle on there for lifting in and out of the tank. And I think that's going to really do a good job. You've got the hose attachments just on the top there, and you get a few different ones in the box for this. So as well as the pump, Hygger also sends some different attachments for different hoses, just to ensure that, you know, whatever you're using is going to work absolutely fine. So let's put it to the test. So there we go, nice big water change done. So when I'm cycling a tank, I never do a water change during the cycling process, just because I find that that slows down the cycle itself. So this has been about 2 weeks. Now I used part seeded media and I used Satis as a way of cycling the tank. And I found that it took about a week to get rid of the ammonia, and then another week, maybe a week and a half to get rid of the nitrite. Nitrite, in my experience, always hangs on a little bit longer. But anyway, we're done, we're there. Tank cycled. Obviously I'll continue to monitor it after we add the cichlids, but without delay, let's go get some cichlids. So we're back from the fish shop. Obviously you've just seen a little video there of the shop we went to, which is Ripple's Waterlife in Bridgemere Garden Centre in, well, near Nantwich in Cheshire basically. So I have a great selection of African cichlids there, and what I like is that they're all separated out into all of different colour strains. Now having said that, I've picked up 10 and I'll show you them in a minute before we get them in the tank. And most of them are peacocks, so they're Alonacara. There's a mixture of different colours. There are a few haplochromous in there as well. So I'll just get them out and I'll show you before we get them in the tank. So we've got a sulphur head here, we've got a blue and a yellow with the blue face there, if you can see that. So we've got 3 in that bag. So I'll just pop those down. What I'm going to do with these fish is I'm not going to float the bags in the aquarium, because it's 26 degrees outside and the tank is 27 degrees, and the fish shop they've come from was 26 degrees as well. So I'm not going to temperature acclimate them by floating the bags. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the bags in the bucket, put them into the bucket, and then I'm going to introduce tank water from the tank into the bucket over the next 20 minutes or so. So it's going to be a relatively quick acclimatization, but I'll just show you the other ones I've got as well. So we've got, I think we've got an OB there and another red one underneath there, I believe. Yep. So we've got a couple more. I think one of these, yeah, I think one of these might be a haplochromous. I think this one here, but it's obviously coloured down quite a lot at the moment. And then we've got another red, and I think there's two blue dolphins in here, blue Morii, which are obviously haplochromous. So yeah, we'll start getting these acclimatized. Actually, before I get them acclimatized, ideally I wanted to get all males. I did ask in the shop, I asked if they were able to sex them and could they pick out all males for me. The problem is a lot of those are quite small, so it wasn't that easy to do that. So myself and the person in the shop who served me, we observed them for a little while and we tried to make a best guess on what we thought might be males and what we thought weren't males, based on how boisterous we are, the size of them, the egg spots, and just their overall dominance in the tank. So hopefully we've got most males. If we have got some females, then we'll have to deal with that obviously in time. But they were all very colourful, so we'll start getting them acclimatized anyway, and then I'll bring you back later on, hopefully when they're fully coloured up and you can see them in all their glory. fish have had a little bit of time to settle in now, and they're showing some really nice colours. I'm pretty sure though that we've not got all males, which I expected that would be the case. But you know, I'm really not bothered. If it shows more of the characteristics of the fish, I mean, okay, I know we might get more aggression problems, but I think we can deal with that. So yeah, so here it is. Here's all the fish. They're all eating well. They were very nervous actually, very skittish when I put them in. But as soon as I got the food put out, they soon realised that I'm the bringer of the food, and since then they've been absolutely fine. No, no skittish behaviour. They're all just doing their own thing, and so far I've not seen any aggression. They seem to be getting on well. Obviously that'll change, I'm sure, over the coming days and weeks. But yeah, really excited, and yeah, I hope you like how it's turned out. And this isn't, you know, this isn't the finished thing for this tank really. Obviously it's going to be really nice to see these guys grow up, and I will be adding more for sure in the future. You know, I've been doing lots of research, and I believe that you add them in groups to sort of disperse any aggression. So yeah, this isn't not the last you'll be seeing of this tank, of course. It will go through changes. As these fish get bigger, we'll have to take some of the rocks out, just to give them a little bit more space. Very excited to see how this tank develops. Thank you for coming along on the journey, and yeah, stay tuned, more videos to come. See you later. Thank you. Bye for now.